Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Roundtable here on mycountylink.com. Today we're going to take a look at high school football as the regular season ended and the playoffs began. I'm Alex Warner, joined by Gaylen Blosser, and then honored to have with us Dale Barger. Dale's been a while since you sat around the roundtable here.
It has been.
Good to have you back. Anyhow, I think the three of us have probably seen about as much high school football as anybody here this fall, and so we thought we'd kind of recap the regular season and then kind of look ahead to the playoffs as they start taking place here this coming Friday. So, Gaylen, kind of overall impression of high school football this year? You saw a bunch of them.
Yeah, there was a lot of good football this year. I'll start with Greenville. They got 3 wins after going 0 for 22. Coach Chanel has done a good job with them. The WOAC, goodness, there's some good football in the WOAC. Any given night, even Miss Cinewall. Of course, Dale's the sports information director for the WOAC, so he really knows the WOAC well. But I will say this: I saw Ansonia the last 2 weekends. They've turned it around. They could be a force in the playoffs. Their last 3 games have been really played well, and Coach Hall's really pleased with this last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I agree. We'll have Dale fill in here on the WOAC and so forth, but just to kind of finish up a brief discussion on Greenville, Steve Chanel came in, and like you say, we had a 22-game losing streak and picked up those 3 wins, brought some hope back to Greenville fans, and I think in the future, if we can get the kids out, Coach Chanel, he's a member of the Ohio High School Football Coaches Hall of Fame, and man knows what he's doing. And so give him another year or 2, and we'll see what happens. But hopefully, Greenville will become a force in the Miami Valley League. And another thing about the Miami Valley League too, got some tough ball clubs in there. Tip City's #1 seed in their region of Division III. Troy is a #2 seed in Division I. They're one of the smallest Division I schools in the state.
After they lost to Tip, I wasn't sure, but they're still right there. So.
Yeah, they're right there. And then another good ball club, Xenia, had a really nice season down there. So you had three teams there.
They're pretty strong.
Kind of separated themselves from the pack, and it's been interesting. I know you talked about the WOAC, and we'll get into that, but it seems like the leagues this year, you had 3 or 4 fairly strong teams, and then you had 3 or 4 teams kind of in the middle that could win games, and then there was kind of a gap in talent, and some of the teams now near the bottom of the standings of both the WOAC and the MVL, that they're going to be a rebuilding process have to take place. So let's talk about the WOAC.
Well, hey, before we get into WOAC, can I Versailles?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay, you'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to Versailles.
Right.
We're going to cover a lot of teams.
Okay.
Well, as far as talking about the WOAC, it was kind of maybe a little bit of surprise this year for Mrs. Cinewall. You got to talk about them because it was kind of a feel-good story. The Blackhawks have had a couple of lean years, and they came out this year and got off to a quick 4-1 start, 4-0 in the league, and they were riding pretty high this year, and they had a couple nice players, quarterback, receivers. They wound up surprising a lot of people. Now, they got into the heart of the meat of the schedule with Tri-Village and Preble, Shawnee, and Ansonia all there towards the end of the year with the heavier lifting done at the end of the year. But you know what? They put points on the board, and it's exciting for them. The future looks good for them. New coach this year. Yeah. He actually played at Mississinawa back in early 2000s, and coached under John Greer when they went to the playoffs before. Mm-hmm. So pretty exciting for them right now. Pretty good future.
Yeah, and that's a group of kids at Mississinawa, not only in football, but they've got some potential in basketball too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just a good group coming through for Mississinawa.
Right. And then as far as overall, I mean, you got the 3 heavyweights going in was going to be Tri-Village and Ansonia, and even though Ansonia's younger team this year, and they had tough games early on with Preble Shawnee, which is the other heavyweight. As Gaylen said, they just started to get better and better and better. That line started to become more effective. Ansonia doing what they do, and they're going to run the ball at you, and those kids got better and better. And like you said, they're going to have a tough one with New Bremen in the first round of the playoffs. But I think they can be competitive in that game. Mm-hmm. So then obviously Preble Shawnee, and or Arcanum was right there, and they were another one that, you kind of expected, hey, can they upset somebody? Can they make some noise? And, were there, but they just wasn't able to do that. But Arcanum's got, some good talent there, and they've got, Macy, the running back who leads the league in rushing, and, their big task is they got to go and play Preble Shawnee all over again in the playoffs after finishing fourth in the league after losing to them early in the season. Maybe they've learned something, maybe they've gotten better. We'll see what happens between them and Preble Shawnee in the playoffs. And then, of course, Tri-Village, they went undefeated and won their big game at Preble Shawnee, which was a big one. And then the game at Ansonia in week 5 was another fun game where they won 55-22. So Tri-Village has got a lot of offensive weapons.
They certainly do. Yeah.
They've got explosive offense. The question's going to be, can they defend when they have to play the likes of, Coldwater? And it's looking like that's going to be maybe a third round matchup. And then if they win that, then there's probably going to be Anna sitting there waiting for them in the regional finals. So it's not an easy regional to get out of.
No, and by the time you get to the third and fourth round, there won't be any easy games for anybody.
No, but those won't be.
But those will definitely not be easy games. I had a chance to go down and see Tri-Village play for the first time this year, and you're right, explosive offensively. They've got some horses out there. They've got a good-sized line. They got Sagister, a quarterback, that can put the ball out there when he has time, and he has time to throw the ball.
He's got more time this year.
Yeah.
And of course, you got Don Black, who's on the line, who's a junior this year, 6'5", 280. He's getting some big looks at a lot of big colleges, and he's lived up to that reputation this year, and he's had a lot of Division I schools, and so you got the line. There's other kids on that line that are pretty good. Levi Farmer and Logan DeLong, who broke his leg in the practice before the final game, or that kind of hurt him a little bit, or a Preble Shawnee game, but they wound up overcoming that. So they've like you said, the line play is really solid, and they've got Griffin Richards, who leads the league in receiving. He's, in fact, was the co-offensive player of the year with Preble Shawnee's Brody Morton, and so they've got offense. They've got a couple of nice sophomore running backs who put up a lot of yards. And of course, Agaster, who is so efficient with he doesn't waste any motion at all with his pinpoint accuracy passing the ball. But again, I'm going to go back to the defense, getting the defense do their job. And so, I love what they're doing right now. I think they're going to be good. Arcanum, let's see what they can do against Preble Shawnee. That's going to be a hard out. Preble Shawnee's, again, they're solid, so we'll see what happens.
It's going to be interesting. You want to bring up for sales?
Well, I was just going to say they've kind of fallen on hard times the last couple of years. Last year they won their first 5, then they lost the last 5, and then they lost the first game of the playoffs. This year they only won 4 games and missed the playoffs. But Chuck Runner, who covers all of their sales games for us, I was talking to him, and he says they have a lot returning. He looks for the Barger kid to be at quarterback next year. He said they're young, but he thinks they'll be back better next year.
They're just a few points away from making the playoffs.
Yeah, and they've been close in a lot of games.
I mean, losing Marion Local by
a point,
a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
They've had a couple other games that they were there and could have won, and they've won some big games this year too. So that MAC Midwest Athletic Conference hard to figure out this year.
While we're talking about the MAC, I mean, we look. Of course, you bring up Marion Local. 75 straight wins now.
Yeah.
4-time defending state champions, and had 3 wins this year by 1 point.
1 point.
And somehow from everything I've heard, everything I've read, they're maybe not as strong this year as they've been through the past, but they find a way to win.
Well, when you graduate 18 seniors from last year's team, and then you still find a way to win, that's a program.
That's a program.
And for sales, they missed 2 extra points. Got beat by 1 point,
Well, and then Anna went for 2 in overtime, trailed by 1, went for 2 on the last play of the game, and Marion stopped them short of the end zone.
And then Coldwater lost to him 7-6 in that showdown in the last game.
And that was just the only touchdown scored in the whole game was a kickoff return.
Kickoff return, 98 yards.
Yeah, 98-yard kickoff return. So, and others, I tell you, St. Henry's come back. You know,
Yeah.
St. Henry had such a proud tradition, and they fell on hard times there for a while.
I'll tell you what, St.
And
Henry's,
now they got it going again.
they're good, and I would not be surprised, I'll tell you right now, if they wouldn't be able to knock off Marion Local in the playoffs the second time around.
Yeah, there are 1 and 2 seeds up there.
And
Correct.
Sonia will have to play them if they win this Friday
Correct.
night. Then they got to play St.
Yeah.
Henry,
Correct.
and that's going to be a tough match.
Yeah, yeah.
They've
So,
got size, they've got Whirling, who's a really good running back, and a decent quarterback. They're going to be a tough out.
yeah, and you mentioned Coldwater earlier. Coldwater, you know, you're used to seeing them state championship here, state championship there, and they lost what, 2 games, 3 games this year?
They're 6-4.
6-4. They're down just a little bit,
But yet-
but that's still.
But those are losses in the conference. But they go and beat perennial powers, Valley View, Clinton Massey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like that they haven't. They got good wins, but you know the conference this year, the MAC has just been all over. the
It's
place.
another one of those years in the MAC where you can be 6-4, maybe. I'm not sure if anybody 5-5 got it in. But when you
Recovery.
start pulling up the Fort Recovery, get it? When you start pulling up computer points and you look at it and you go, my gosh, they're 5-5, but look at who they played.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, they're in the regional finals. All of a sudden, they're 9-5 or
Right.
something like that. So, well, yeah, good football up there. And then I might just mention too, over in Miami County, since we cover them quite a bit, is that we also have Piqua got in. Piqua wasn't that great, but they came on pretty strong at the end of the
They
season.
did.
Piqua's going to be in the playoffs, like we said. Troy's in there,
Covington.
and then you talk about Covington's in there with a 12 seed, and they take on Coldwater. They got
Yep,
Coldwater.
They play Coldwater to start off with,
Yeah.
and they're familiar foes in the playoffs. But you know, Covington actually surprisingly they started off a couple losses, and then they went on a little win streak there about the middle of the season, won 4 in a row, and wound up finishing I think in a tie maybe for second place there in the conference, which is really kind of surprising where they started from. So they've got a little momentum. They've scored some points. They're towards the end of the season. A couple of good wins, a couple close losses. Beat Arcanum at the beginning of the year by 14-13. So who knows?
Yeah, that's why you play the game. We'll find out. We'll find out because it all starts this Friday night, and let's take a look. You want to start at Division I and work down? You want to start at 7 and work up? It doesn't make me any difference. Let's get Division I out of the way
go
first.
ahead.
So you fans know that this year, in the past, it's been 16 teams qualify in each region, 4 regions in each division, 7 divisions. Well, they cut it back this year to 12 teams, and the top 4 seeds in each region get a bye in the first round, and they have home field advantage throughout the course of the playoffs. But I think it's a good move going to just 12 teams. I think it's going to eliminate a lot of those blowouts when you have a 1 seed
Playing a 16.
just playing a 16 seed and running clock in the first half almost.
And the new format has eliminated even then a 1 playing a 12 seed. So having that bye, now you've got your 5 playing your 12 and so forth
Yeah.
and so on. And then the 1 seed will then play the 8 and 9 in the second round, and 2 will play the 7 and 10 and so forth and so on.
Yeah, and you folks out there, so what they've done is just like you do in basketball and other sports, but mainly basketball and football, the top 72 schools enrollment-wise form Division I.
Correct.
Did I say that right? Yeah, the top 72 teams enrollment-wise. That's why I say Troy's in, but they're probably one of the smaller Division I schools. But they get a 2 seed, and they have a bye in the first round, and then they'll have a home game against the winner of Hilliard-Bradley and Dublin-Jerome. And I tell you, there's some good football played
I'll
over
tell
in
you,
the Columbus area.
Columbus has a
So
lot of good teams.
that's going to be a tough matchup for the
Right.
Trojans
Right.
in that second round. So that's Division I. Then what they do is after they take the top 72 teams out to form Division I around the state, then they split the remaining teams into 6 equal divisions. I think it's around what?
Maybe 114.
Yeah,
or
114, 115,
112,
something like
that.
Yeah. So if we go down to Division II, which would be the next division down enrollment-wise, Trotwood Madison, who's not in the league, and you don't really hear too much about Trotwood Madison because they just don't get the coverage.
But they have had a good year.
And they've had a good year. They got a 3 seed, and then we had mentioned Xenia out of the Miami Valley League.
Right.
They're a 4 seed, so those both have buys, and then they'll have second round games at home. Xenia had one of the better running backs I've seen this year, that Deontay White.
Yeah, he set all their school records earlier in the year, and his thighs are like tree trunks, and just a big kid.
And he has speed.
He is speed. I think you'll see him playing on Saturdays.
Yeah, he's a good ball player. Anyhow, Xenia draws the winner of LaSalle and Turpin. Those are 2 Cincinnati area schools. And then we mentioned that Piqua gets a 9 seed. They're going to be at Cincinnati Withrow, so who knows what happens down there. I don't know much about Withrow. And then Butler, Vandalia Butler got a 10 seed, and they travel all the way down to Harrison out west of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So that's the problem now. You start getting into some 2-hour drives to get the ball games. And
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't make sense. Well, how come this is going that far when it could be playing now? It comes down to computer points.
And then it's the home field advantage for the first 2 rounds to the higher seed, and then it's a neutral site from there on out.
Yeah. We dropped down to Division III, and Tip City we talked about, the Miami Valley League champions who've won 21 straight Miami Valley League games, if I'm not mistaken, over the last 3 years. Tip, as a number 2 seed, they'll take on the winner of Talawanda out of Oxford and Goshen. I tell you what, Talawanda's got a nice ball club down there. They've got a running back that's gangbusters, and
Yeah,
so
they've been ranked in the top 10, and
Yeah.
like you said, they've got a pretty exciting team this year.
yeah.
But the Burboggers have Tip City,
Yeah.
playing really good.
Yeah, they're humming along pretty well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how soon Tip becomes a Division II, because that area is just growing
Yeah.
and growing, and they're just building a lot of houses over there.
Yeah. Then we drop down to Division IV, and school maybe you're a little more familiar with, Valley View gets a 2 seed.
9-1, or actually, 9-1. They're lost to
Coldwater.
Coldwater. So they've got a pretty good quarterback, good running back, and of course they're always pretty solid. They've got a lot of history.
Yeah, Jay Nysonger, they were Nysonger Field
Right,
named after
right.
him. Yeah. Well, they take on the winner of, if I'm not mistaken, they take on the winner of Brookville and Bishop Fenwick, and Brookville lost to Valley View just a couple weeks ago.
Couple weeks
if I'm not
ago, that was
mistaken.
kind of for the conference, and Brookville, had again another school that had a nice season. I mean, I think they ended up 8-2 or something
like that, yeah.
So good season, and
You're looking at possible rematch
Right,
there of the
you're looking at
Southwest
possible
Buckeye
rematch.
League, yeah. That Southwest Buckeye League was a little strange. They've got 12 teams, but they split it bigger schools, smaller schools.
They
So
tried.
they've got a 7-team smaller school division that Brookville and Valley View are in, and then they've got a 5-team bigger school division with Bellbrook and then Ross and Franklin and
it's funny that smaller division is big to us in the WOAC.
anyhow, it's going to be interesting to see how that. All these games are going to be interesting. This is if you're a high school football fan, and they all play on Friday night at 7:00, so it's impossible to
It
get
makes
the
it very
games.
difficult for Gaylen and I to cover every school equally. So
I gave up on that. We're
We're
going to be out of town.
frustrated.
So.
we're frustrated.
Okay, then we drop down to Division V, and this will be a rematch here of a game played earlier. You've already talked about Preble Shawnee at number 7, playing host to number 10, the Trojans of Arcanum. And boy, when you play a team that's fairly equal a second time, you never kind of know what's going to happen in
Well,
those games.
you'd like to think that, you've made some adjustments, and I know Macy's kind of, he's had the advantage now of sitting back and, reviewing that game and then seeing Preble Shawnee play, us, as far as Tri-Village is concerned in the WOAC, and so they're going to make some adjustments, and, the key is can they stop Morton? Because he hurts you with his feet.
Brody Morton, the
Brody
quarterback.
Morton, the quarterback. So if they can do something to stop him, and then I think they got a shot to make it interesting.
I covered them the first time Arcanum was down there. I was down there, and that's a tough place to play. That's not it's a
No.
long ride down there. That's a tough
It's
place to
it's
play.
always a tough place to play
Yeah,
there.
and Arcanum, it's just like they didn't show up for that game.
So Arcanum played the regular season game
Correct.
at Shawnee. Okay.
Right, and it was they just never really got going that night.
Okay.
Well,
Well, let's get to Division VI, and now we're starting getting Dark County and Mercer County wheelhouses here. So Tri-Village Patriots, who I think, like you said, if they can hold up in the possibly third, fourth round of the regionals, I think has a really good chance contending for a state title this year.
Right.
I mean, the road's going to be tough, and it should be. That's just how it is.
Yeah, they've got a bye in the first round, the home game in the second round, and they will play the winner of Cincinnati Summit Country Day and Portsmouth West, which I don't know a whole lot about those, but history has shown that, especially in small school football, the teams from the north versus the teams from the south are usually, a tad little bit, better. But we'll see. And then if they would happen to win that second round game, of course, then you'll probably have Coldwater looming unless Covington can knock them off, or Cincinnati St. Bernard in the second round. So that's what we're looking at there. You look at the bottom half of the bracket, you've got Anna there lurking, and Springfield Northeastern had a good season this year. They were the number 2 seed. They're sitting there, and who knows, maybe they can do a little. But if you go back a few years ago, if Tri-Village would have to play Anna, they had a shootout. Anna won 55-53, and that was a lot of fun. So
We're talking football or basketball?
we're talking football. that wasn't very fun in basketball last year, but no, I tell you what, it can be a lot of fun. We'll see what Tri-Village can do here in this D6.
Before we move on down to the final division, I just want to bring up one thing. Ironton. Did you guys read that story on Ironton? And I'm not sure what division they're in. Ironton's over in eastern Ohio.
They are in
What division are they?
D5.
They're a D5?
And they're always good.
Yeah, well, evidently we know why now.
D5 or D4, I can't remember. Well, they blew everybody out last year on the way to the state championship, and they pretty much had everybody back again this year. And they were probably well on their way again, but so there was obviously a lot of things that were going on that the OCA put a statement out that there was, some violations of, encouragement and active recruiting and through the coaching staff and beyond. And the Board of Education isn't giving up, though. They're going to
fight it in court.
They're going to fight it. They don't think they did anything wrong, but.
Well, the ruling from the OHSAA was that they're banned from postseason play this year, next year, and I think there was a $7,500 fine, which you don't really hear of high schools having fines imposed upon them by a body.
And the coaches can't coach anywhere or anything for a period of time either. So if they do, there's more fines levied. But I'll tell you this: OHSAA usually acts on the side of being conservative. If they have put a ruling out there, then they have lots of evidence to support that.
Yeah. Hey, one other thing before we get to Division 7, we brought this up about the OHSAA. I see that in a couple of weeks there are going to be votes of the principals of all the member schools on this name, image, and likeness thing for high school athletes. There was a lawsuit brought by a young man and his family down at Wayne High School, who's one of the top receiver recruits in the country, and he's signed with Ohio State. Something about he thinks that he's passed up $100,000 in name, image, and likeness. What are you guys' thoughts on that for high school athletes? And I will say that Ohio was one of only 6 states that forbid that. All these other states let the kids cash in on that.
Well, originally I kind of was a little bit kind of upset by it. The fact that you've got kids that it's supposed to be about a high school education and extracurricular activities as part of that process of education, learning to be a team member and a good teammate, and it's kind of a privilege to play, not necessarily something that you think about a high school kid getting paid. And the more and more I thought about it, and the more and more I saw with what the OHSAA did in terms of writing the rules for this name, image, and likeness, I kind of like the fact that they're actually in control and laying out the framework on how this works. And they've done a really, really good job of putting parameters around it through a lot of their bylaws that takes away a lot of the stuff that you're thinking, this is going to get crazy and be like the Wild Wild West. So if anybody has an opportunity, and we might actually, Gaylen, just put, print it out there and let everybody read it. They've done a nice job of framing it to where it's not going to get carried away. So, and it's going to be to where you can't recruit, you can't do things during a game, you can't do things, in a practice. It cannot, do anything to influence, the team. I think they've done a really good job, and you'd have to read it, but that's my thoughts on it. I wasn't really a fan of it, but we're going to have to live with it. It's not going away.
Yeah. It's funny you bring up the word influence, because I was trying to think, I'm not real sure I'm going to go out and buy a product or attend an event where some 15 or 16-year-old kids tell me, hey, I like Coca-Cola or whatever.
Yeah,
I just don't think that's going to have any impact
I don't know.
on me.
I don't know how you even measure that.
Yeah, I know. Like I say,
So it makes you wonder. I mean, I can't see anybody's brand, being, all of a sudden, hey, I just sold all, like you said. So there's more to it than that,
Yeah.
Is this young man from Wayne, does he have an agent?
Well, that's what you kind of wonder. Somebody's behind the scenes kind of, pushing it along. So.
Yeah, that'd be great if you guys could put something out for people to take a look at. Of course, it has to be passed by what? Majority or
It does.
2/3 or what?
And if you look at it, when they did this about 3 years ago, I think it was overwhelmingly defeated.
Yeah.
But I now, given the consideration that it's, in litigation in the courts,
Yeah.
and the young man actually is able to get some money now because they put a stay on it, according to the judge in Columbus. I'm curious to see if that $100,000 materializes or not.
Well, we'll find out.
We'll find
Like you
out.
say, as long as they can keep it under control, because I tell you what, the Wild Wild West, as
Yeah.
far as college football and college basketball, that's gotten way out of hand.
And we're talking about letting, guys that were in basketball that played in the G League to come back and play in college again.
Played pro ball for 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Now they went back, yeah. And I'm sure they're all physics or engineering
Right,
majors.
right.
Hey, let's get to Division 7 as we kind of wrap things up here. And of course, we've already talked about, Marion #1, 4-time defending state champions. St. Henry's got a #2 seed. And then a couple really good ball games, I think. St. Henry at 2 will take on the winner of Ansonia New Bremen. And I know New Bremen's had a decent season up
Yes,
in the
they
back.
have.
And we've already talked about what we think Ansonia, how they've come along the last half of the season as the young kids mature. So that could be a really good match
Well,
up
if
there.
you go back a few years ago, it was like, 29 to 28 or 27 or something like, New Bremen outlasted Ansonia, in Greenville.
Right.
In
Yeah.
snow.
In the snow, that's
And
right.
it was an exciting game.
Did
So-
New Bremen's won a state title here in the last year or two,
New
right?
Bremen won a state title that year. Tri-Village beat them the next year, and then New Bremen won the state title again the
Yes,
following
right.
year.
New Bremen
So
Cardinals.
they're no stranger right now. They're right back where they were. So
Yeah. And then Marion will face the winner, and I think this is kind of an interesting matchup because Minster and Lehman Catholic, I don't know if they played in the regular season,
They
but
did.
they did?
they did not.
Did not, but they're close there, that Shelby County thing going on up there, and
Well,
I think that's going to be an interesting game because Minster's not bad, and Lehman Catholic's got a quarterback that can throw the ball. So.
Well, not only do they have a quarterback throw the ball, but O'Leary actually leads the country in passing yardage, and then you've got one receiver on there that has just got so many yards. I think he's close to 3,000 yards receiving.
Wow.
I mean, the numbers are crazy. The
So he's
number of
quick.
touchdowns and the number of catches, and this guy has had between the two of them, and they've got another receiver that's got a lot of yardage too. So they open it up. It's an exciting brand of football there too. The question is going to be
Can they stop
can
anybody?
they stop anybody? And coming in, they pretty much had all these guys last year, and what did New Bremen do? They managed the ball game and the clock in the playoffs, and then they took them by about 20-some points against
You're saying it's tough to score when you don't have the ball.
correct. That strategy works.
That strategy works. That's exactly right. Well, hey, this is going to be an exciting playoff season like it always is. How are you two going to divide these games up? My gosh. Like I say, they're all on Friday night, all at 7 o'clock. So what game are you going to watch on Friday?
Dale and I haven't talked about it yet. So
You guys flip a coin or rock, paper, or scissors?
I think there's two things we look at. Being the fact that I've got two teams that are playing, WOAC teams playing each other, I'm probably going to do that. And Gaylen's
So you got the Shawnee Arcanum game?
Oh, yeah, and Gaylen's going to wind up doing the Ansonia game. So.
Okay. I wondered how it's going to play out. It makes it easier as they start coming back down now
Correct.
from the 12 teams, and then they
Right.
have 4 games now. So, but just a great season, and it was a fun regular season to see some of these teams develop, and it's going to be even better postseason, like it is always. So I hope you folks out there have a chance to get out and watch some of these ball games. It's going to be football weather here this weekend.
It's gotten there, hasn't it?
Yeah,
sure
boy,
has.
it's been an interesting weather-wise.
We had a great fall.
It was tremendous. I can't remember a time I've been to every ball game we went to, the flag was pretty much hanging limp.
Yeah.
And in the 60s and 70s, yeah, it was a great season. Well, anyhow, any final thoughts here? I mean, basketball's not too far away, so we can start talking about that in another month or two here to see what we think about that.
I'm excited about the playoffs, and I want to wish all of our teams,
Yep.
luck. And I think we should all get out and support the few that we do have left, and see what happens.
Yeah. Gaylen, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm honored to sit here next to the bocce champion of the area. He and Judy
He's a
Collins.
bocce ball player?
Oh yeah, he won the championship for the area and made us proud here.
What kind of trophy? Did you get a big trophy for it?
Yeah, I just think a piece of paper. Piece of paper and a cookie. Well, anyhow, hey, on behalf of videographer Nick Schmidt, Nick's with us always here and has to listen to all this stuff. So glad to have Nick here, Dale Barger, Gaylen Blosser, and myself, Alex Mortar. Thanks for joining us. And like Dale just said, get out and support these teams. And we wish good luck to all of them. And boy, on down the road, we might have to come back here if we got 3 or 4 of these teams make it all the way to the state semifinals or even championship games.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Everybody have a good day out there. We'll see you again here on the roundtable at mycountylink.com.